What if I told you that the greatest threat to the West isn't war, famine, or economic collapse, but bad ideas? Ideas that infiltrate minds like viruses, turning intelligent people into ideological zealots. Ideas so powerful they can override logic, dismantle civilizations, and make entire nations self-destruct. This is not a metaphor. Ideological parasites are real and they are spreading. From political tribalism to suicidal empathy, these psychological infections hijack rational thinking, replacing it with blind faith and self-destruction. The question is, how do we recognize them before it's too late? And more importantly, how do we cure ourselves? Let's break it down. What is an ideological parasite? A parasite feeds off its host, draining it of life. A mind parasite does the same, but instead of attacking the body, it attacks reason itself. These ideological parasites do not care about truth, logic, or reality. Their only goal is replication, spreading from mind to mind much like a virus. They accomplish this through emotional hijacking. Fear, guilt, outrage. These are the preferred tools of parasitic ideas. Once infected, a person is no longer driven by rational self-interest or objective analysis, but by programmed emotional responses. And just like biological parasites, these mind viruses can make people act against their own survival. Examples of ideological parasites in action. Political tribalism. Instead of debating issues logically, tribalists pick a side and defend it at all costs. The result? The death of independent thinking. Left versus right, Democrat versus Republican. None of it matters when both sides are infected with ideological programming. Rational people become parrots for talking points they never critically examined. Suicidal empathy. Empathy is good, until it turns into a weapon. The West has been infected with a mind virus that turns compassion into self-destruction. Borders must remain open, criminals must be coddled, and cultural preservation is called bigotry. The result? Societies too weak to defend themselves from those who exploit them. The fear of truth. Once upon a time, the West was built on the pursuit of truth. Science, philosophy, debate, all of it depended on an unrelenting quest for reality. But now, truth is offensive. Truth is dangerous. The infected would rather silence dissenters than confront difficult realities. If facts hurt feelings, then facts must be erased. The cult of victimhood. Once an individual sees themselves as a victim, they stop improving. They stop innovating. They stop striving. Entire societies have been poisoned with the idea that victimhood is power. That suffering gives moral authority. The result? A culture where ambition dies and grievance thrives. Why do intelligent people fall for this? If ideological parasites were only infecting the weak-minded, they wouldn't be as dangerous. But the truth is, even the most intelligent among us can be infected. Why? Because intelligence does not equal wisdom. In fact, the smarter someone is, the better they are at rationalizing their own indoctrination. Highly educated individuals are often the most infected because they spend their lives in ideological echo chambers. Universities, media institutions, and corporate HR departments have become breeding grounds for these parasitic ideas. Another reason? Fear. Most people, even intelligent ones, fear social rejection more than they fear being wrong. If an entire culture embraces an ideological parasite, anyone who resists is seen as an enemy. And in today's digital age, exile isn't just social, it's economic. One wrong opinion can cost you your job, your reputation, and your future. The cost of parasitic thinking. What happens when an entire civilization succumbs to ideological mind viruses? We are already seeing the consequences. Economic collapse. Productivity declines when societies reward victimhood over competence. Businesses prioritize diversity statements over innovation. Economic power shifts to nations that reject ideological infection. Crime and chaos. When criminals are seen as victims and law-abiding citizens as oppressors, justice collapses. Cities rot. Civilizations crumble. The death of the family. The nuclear family is the foundation of a strong society. but ideological parasites attack it, promoting dysfunction and division in the name of progress. The loss of free speech. Infected minds cannot tolerate opposing views. They demand censorship, silencing, and punishment for those who resist their programming. The West, once the beacon of free expression, now leads the world in ideological purges. How do we break free? Recognize the infection. The first step to curing a mind virus is recognizing it. Look at the ideas you hold and ask, do these beliefs come from reason, or were they programmed into me? Are my opinions driven by evidence or by fear of social rejection? Detox from emotional manipulation. If an argument relies on fear, guilt, or outrage, it's probably a parasite. Truth doesn't need emotional blackmail to stand on its own. Be skeptical of any idea that demands blind allegiance rather than logical scrutiny. Rebuild a culture of strength. The West didn't rise through weakness. It didn't become a global power through victimhood. It thrived because it valued excellence, courage, and truth. We must return to those values before it's too late. Reject fear-based compliance. The infected demand conformity. They punish dissent. But the only way to kill an ideological parasite is to refuse to submit. Speak the truth, even when it's unpopular. Defend reality, even when it's dangerous. Final thoughts. The West is being destroyed, not by foreign enemies, not by economic hardship, but by the unchecked spread of ideological parasites. These mind viruses turn logic into heresy, empathy into suicide, and intelligence into slavery. But we are not helpless. A mind virus only survives if it remains unchallenged. The moment we expose it to reason, it begins to wither. The moment we refuse to comply, it begins to die. So the question is, will you be part of the cure, or will you remain infected? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen ideological parasites at work in your own life? How do we fight back? Drop a like, subscribe, and share this message, because the only way to stop a mind virus is to spread the antidote.